So the question, how's your initial journey with open source? Would love to know. All right. The the journey, it started from 2016. Yeah, 16 is when I started doing bachelor's in computer science and engineering from IIIT Near Airport. So it's an institute of excellence in Chhattisgarh state of India. Our director calls it Institute of Excellence. Otherwise, we generally call it college, but he likes to call it Institute of Excellence. But anyway, so my journey started when I started looking at the code base. So my interest was always into looking at the code base of the tools I use. So I was using Linux initially, right? I started with, like, for example, Linux Mint, Ubuntu, all the versions of Ubuntu, Debian as well. I installed that in 11th class standard as well. First year as well, I installed in a lot of my batchmates PCs as well. I think a lot of my batchmates will agree if they're watching this video in the future. So my idea of open source was always to be able to read the code base and understand what they're doing. That's what I understood from open source. Okay, the source was open sourced, right? The source was out there for you to see. I didn't understand. Okay, can you contribute to it? Is was never a question because I was so curious. So this happened. My brother was doing his bachelor's in from BITS Pilani campus, right? And I would just generally go to him and say that, Bhaiya, do you have any suggestions for me, right? What should I do? So he said, I told him that I'm interested in images and computer vision in general, right? And a lot of Indian things come from your peers or family, right? My family is full of engineers. Father is an electrical engineer, brother is mechanical. Right now is in deep learning and all. My grandfather was civil engineer, right? My mother's side, the most like doctors and scientists. So the blood has always been engineering, right? That you want to know how things work. So I was always interested in images because whenever I look at something, I get an idea that this could be a project, right? So when you're walking around in the even in the college premises, right, you will think that okay, there's this waste being there. Like for example, when you're riding, like when you're driving, for example, you'll see all the potholes and all, right? So you can imagine that how can these are all images at the end of the day, right? How can you leverage those images and build something out of it? Was always my curiosity. So I started off with a very basic thing. I started off using OpenCV based on my brother's suggestion. And when Bhaiya suggested me that, I looked at OpenCV and I started creating some random, um, really, really good animations out of it. Um, so I used to take up images. I can show you those images. I'm opening Facebook right now. Facebook used to exist at that time. It still exists, but I don't think people use it enough right now, at least in my peers. But I can show you those images. So I used OpenCV to edit those images, and I used to feel really really good about it. That I added some thresholding to it, just binary thresholding, nothing too fancy about it, right? And I felt really good. And then I started realizing that I want to, like, let me show you. So this was one of the things that I built, right? It was Independence Day, right? Yeah, family members use Facebook a lot. I'm not from Kota. I didn't do any coaching, by the way. I don't think coaching is really a good idea. So I'm not. My brother didn't do coaching as well, by the way. Um, so you see, so I applied a lot of filters on my college photo, and I overlapped another image on the top of it. I wrote Happy Independence Day, and then I applied another H. What do you call it? I forgot the term as well. But edge detection algorithm, yes, like So these things I used to enjoy. Some kind of blurring as well. Now people in my college started to enjoy this as well. Like they were like, oh, no, nice. And I was in first year. If you see, this is 15 August 2016. I joined in July, so it was 1 year after I joined the college. So 1 year, not 1 month. Sorry about that. So that's how I started with the open source journey. And when people think that open source journey is all about contributing, no, it's about using as well. It's about being able to understand what's the motto behind it and then try to relate with it. And at the end of the day, then you try to contribute. Yeah, I mean, face detection is also there. I've done that as well. So I used to do it like then ended up creating. So this thing is very interesting. You guys can see this. It was 24th July. So this is what I did. So I picked up an image And what I did was I kept applying some blurring to it. Keep on blurring. Like I applied blurring with, so their kernel sizes, right? You can have 1, 3, 5, 7 and all. So I kept increasing the kernel size, and then there was a very smooth animation that came out of it. Because if you keep blurring, the photo is gonna slowly fade away. And I created an animation out of it in Python. So even this thing, right? You never understand, like this is same. If you guys see the pattern, you see, right? It's exactly the same from the image. Yeah. So that's how I got into it. So I used to love open source for this reason, that I could go through OpenCV's code base. But then I was introduced that OpenCV was written in C++, not in Python, but I was using in Python. I'm like, oh, it's not Python. The code base is not Python at all. It was totally C++. I'm like, okay. Then I started realizing that, okay, there are Python bindings. So started working on that. There, but there was an internship that I did, which was related to computer vision as well. And there I was working for face landmark and all, face landmark detection. That's when I realized that there was a bug. Wait, where's where chat? Yeah, I can show you the first PR I made. I mean, I probably created many PRs before, but the first relevant PR where I could say that, okay, yeah, I contributed to OpenCV was this one. So in OpenCV contrib, if you guys see and look for your very own KR Shimali, I think you'll see 3 PRs. One of them, this is by the way not merged, so I will not quote it. So this was important. It's a very simple PR. Okay, I'm going to talk about it. So additive condition whether faces are detected or not will help in to keep program running for some images. If IamWrite used along with IamShow, it may produce error for no face around found aborting in function fit bad argument. Okay, I mean I removed the trailing white space and rebased to 3.4 branch. Looks good to me. Thank you for contribution. That was May 21. That's my around second year initial starting, right? And over here you see when it was trying to apply the facial landmark detection, if there were no faces found, it would fail, right? But all I wanted is if check if faces detected or not helps in proper execution handling when writing images to directories. I think this was for when you're trying to save images and all. So otherwise, see out faces not detected, and it's not a good idea to put see out here. But this is a sample, okay? So this is a sample code that people can use. So samples is fine. In examples, you can put see out. So don't blame me on that. So that's all I did, and that got merged. So I just pinged them that is there any error that's failing and all. They were very responsive, right? And I got this merged. Okay, great is not the best response I should have given. Still learning, but yeah. Then I ended up creating this PR, which was, now you guys say, oh my god, 10,599 lines, and there's where people do the clickbait, right? That I contributed 10,000 lines to OpenCV, but the truth is 10,000 lines out of these were the model code that is auto generated. Okay, so stop being very expecting like, yeah, this is 9,424 lines already. Okay, so the model is 9,424 lines, but everything else of course is a lot of documentation in code. It's probably around 1,000 lines for sure, the code. It's not like iron code, but it's not just me who coded this. Okay, there was a guy, Clunet P, and it's the most beautiful journey of mine with this PR. It's always special to me. And the reason it is special is because I was working on this and there was a guy who pinged me. So I created this feature request that I want to work on this. And Clunet, who was already working on a module for image quality module, and he said, I would love to see this as a part. How can I help? So he said he can be of assistance. He will help me out. And we connected over email. Okay. And we talked for a month or so. Okay, we have around 150 email threads minimum I'm talking about. And what he used to do was, I was in my second year, so I didn't know enough, to be honest, right? But what did he do? He used to collect some to-dos for me over the night, like my night, and he used to share that, okay, here is what I think that you should do. Initial model was already prepared, okay? Like initial working thing was already there in my GitHub repository. Okay. So what did he do? He used to create those to-dos, and he said that, okay, you can start picking those up. And let me know if you have any questions. And the surprising thing was, it wasn't just that I was testing on Linux, okay, and on Linux it was working. And he would come next day, I would see my email, and he would be saying that there was a bug on Windows, and he has fixed it. I'm like, okay, Windows maybe compilers are different. Then he comes, sorry about that. Then he comes and says that 32-bit systems, 64-bit systems, testing is complete. I'm like, what? Like, the code is different. Then he would test on microcontrollers as well, right? Arduino, OpenCV has to work everywhere, right? Then he started writing test cases for that. That's where I understood the part when you contribute to a big repository where people are using it for on so many legacy systems as well. It has to work. Yeah, you can't just say that I tested on one system. So that's how it all like got me into open source. I was so amazed just by the scale of things that we were testing. You guys don't trust me, I know. I can show you. So we used to write these test cases, right? And he generated those. I don't take any of the credit for this test case specifically. He's still a genius. Okay, I've expressed my gratitude to him for so many times. Okay, and I still do that. I'm doing it in front of you all. Okay, so yeah, I think I learned a lot. That's it. That's all I have to say. So that's because of some very kind people, you learn a lot, and that's how open source is very beautiful. Or any corporate world is also beautiful, by the way. If you think you can't learn in corporate world, you're wrong. Corporate world teaches you the most important thing: a job is a job. Full stop. It's not your life. Yeah. So that's how I started contributing to open source, and then I went to NTU Singapore for my internship. And in NTU Singapore, I was working on computer vision, some research work. But I wrote a model. Okay, it was working fine. But there were some PhD people who actually, like towards the end of my internship, they were doing some presentation. Okay, and they had this thing. I'll tell you, it's very. It reminds me of them. They said that okay, now we have optimized it further. Accuracy isn't down by much, but it's really, really performing well now. I'm like, what did you do with my model? It was my model. Why did you touch it and not tell me, right? I was so sensitive about it. But then I understood they had TensorRT at that time, right? So they optimized, of course, with, you know, how do you get rid of some layers that are not useful, in the model itself and all. So quantization, there are so many things in it. I don't know enough. I don't remember enough as well. But that's what they did. And I'm like, okay, I want to understand how to do it, because then I realized getting to that model phase is one thing, but taking that model to end is one thing. And that's the, starting is the most difficult thing, yes, but taking to the end is also difficult, right? And you can debate which one is more difficult, yes, but I think they're both more difficult, right? So that's where I realized, okay, no, I want to learn it. So I started writing blogs on PyTorch. If you guys go to my blog as well, there's a blog on this. I have been writing blogs from 2019. So this is, for example, it's a 2019 or 20 blog. So I started doing deep learning in C++, right? And that's when I reached out to one of the main PyTorch C++ contributors there, Will Feng. And he helped me out with how to get started with PyTorch C++ API. It's still in beta phase. It was in beta phase that time as well. So I started understanding how do I register module in C++, right? So all of it is written by me, guided by many people, of course. But that's when I started enjoying it more, because if you could use that in C++, not the training part, if you could do influence in C++, sorry, not influence, if you can do inference in C++, you save a lot of time from Python to C++ thing. The whole shift context switch, right? In development as well, in prod as well, right? So that's when I started doing it. And at this time, I was looking into PyTorch code base. And when I got into NVIDIA, when they reached out for internship, I went ahead and did it. So PyTorch was my main focus while being in NVIDIA. That's where I contributed to PyTorch. And that's where I have contributed. It's a fun thing, but the number of PRs I have on PyTorch is 69. So yeah, it is what it is. I didn't do it intentionally, so don't blame me on that, but it's 69. I'm planning to create one PR at least after this to get rid of the number, but Yeah, those are the number of PRs I have. The count doesn't matter, but I'm just telling you I created PRs. I have worked for NVIDIA and then I also worked for Coincide. So I did it for my work. It wasn't for I'm too young to do an NGO thing right now. I to be able to create these PRs, you need to have some output. That could be building a profile, that could be doing it for your own belief, or that could be financial advantage. For me, it was both, for building my profile and also for financial advantage, because I was doing it while being in a company. Okay. So I'm not being the nice person here that, I contributed this much. I got the money out of it as well from my company. So yes, but open source can get you money as well. So you guys understand, right? But yeah, that was a part of my job, so I did it. And I've been maintainer of PyTorch Lightning as well, Lightning Flash as well. That was also a part of my job. So that's been my journey right now. To me, the journey right now looks like you are interested in something, you pick it up, you look at how it works, you try to get something out of it. You understand. Yeah, you don't have to create a PR, you don't have to do something XYZ. If you are interested, reach out to people on the repositories and say, how can I contribute? But don't do that every, I don't know if you can see that in every issue right now, a lot of PyTorch good first issues as well. Not sure about PyTorch, but many other repositories. There are many people from our from our country say, can I pick it up? Can I pick it up? I picked it up. I picked it up. After 2 months, they're gone. Right? Have that accountability to say that, hey, I'm sorry, I'm got busy, or it's not in my hands anymore. I'm sorry, I can't work on it. Please don't do it for t-shirt, just for t-shirt. It's a motivation for you. Sure, go ahead and do it. There should be better motivations as well. It can't be just a single one. That's it. Yeah, so that wasn't my motivation as well. I've never taken part in Oktoberfest. For the record, you can check out the DB if they have. Definitely not Jason DB, yeah, like me. Cool. So that was my journey. Again, very, very, very grateful to my brother who got me into this. Vishwesh Ravi Shrimali Bhaiya. Thank you so much. I'm forever grateful to him. And the other people as well who helped me out. If you guys want to know about this, there's a WhatsApp Kush podcast on Spotify. Shameless plug. You can give it a watch. You can just, I mean, I'll not waste your time. Just go to this, my journey to open source during graduation, feed PyTorch and OpenCV. You guys can take a look. And I mean, it's just 15 minutes. So you guys can enjoy that as well. And that's just me talking about my journey. Thank you so much for the question, by the way. Uh, Fixed typo merge ASAP everyone organization. President of India, Donald Trump. Yeah, yeah. Oh, you think already Trump will become the president of United States in November? Cool. Thank you so much for the question, by the way. I hope you guys enjoyed the talk. Sorry for such a long uh, philosophical talk. Sorry about that. This was some real talk. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me out.